into
Well,
your life?
kind of later on. That's when I was at school. Somebody had one they was flogging, and for 15 quid or something. Then I got it, and I started to learn to play on it. But as soon as you have a bass guitar with no amplifier,
it's a problem.
well, it's a problem, A, because you can't hear it, and you're playing by yourself, and it's a bit like having a wank, really. And you soon realise you've got to play with other people, so you've got to...
I'm not going to be able to shake that thought off now.
There you go.
Yeah, it's going to give me nightmares tonight.
Like Jaco Pastorius. I'm not saying nothing, right?
So you get the bass. Tell us about some of your memories of some of your early gigs as well.
I didn't really have any early gigs apart from when I met Steve and Paul.
But you went to see. You missed out.
Gigs I went to go and see.
Yeah, the bands that you did go and see.
Well,
you missed out on the Stones at Hyde Park.
Yeah, I used to work in this shop called Days up the Arrow Road, filling up the shelves and doing deliveries. And then I found out, like that morning, the Stones were playing in Hyde Park, the first gig with Mick Taylor, and I was about 13 and kind of wanted to go, but Mrs. Brown needed her milk and washing powder for the week, so I couldn't really slope off. But not long after that, Humble Pie supported Grand Funk Railroad, and I did go to that. It was fantastic. That was kind of sowed the seeds of me wanting to be a rock and roller. And I remember that Pete Frampton was still in the band then, and he had this sort of Eau de Nil kind of loom pantsuit with tulip lapels and tan Cuban heel boots and the...
You remember it quite well by the sound
shirt undone with a little shark's tooth thing there and his hair blown, and when he looked like such a rock star, I thought, wow. And then there's Steve Marriott, he just rolled his sleeves up and hollered, for all he's worth, and it was fantastic. And they blew off Grand Funk Railroad. And I walked down Oxford Street with my mate Tony Moss after that. We left after about 3 numbers of Grand Funk. And Oxford Street was just a whole sea of people in Afghan coats thinking of patchouli oil, It was cool.
So how did the job at Malcolm and Vivian's come about then? I mean, how did you hear about
I just
had you popped in there? Had you sort of...
No, I'd heard about this place. It was like the tail end of the skinhead thing, which I weren't really, but like Weller, it was like, a cool pair of Stay Press, where did you go? And I'd heard there was a place, this old Brothel Creepers, that somehow had some kind of link. And I went down to check it out, but I've been working at Whiteley's and I kind of blew my tenure there by making a mistake with the payment system, and I knew it was going to come back to me. So I went down Malcolm's shop, found the Brothel Creepers, saw the prices and thought, taking too long to not buy anything. And the guy said, well, can I help you? And I said, well, do you need anybody to work here? Knowing that, and as it happened, the guy said, well, I'm leaving at the end of the week, call this number up. And it was Malcolm McLaren's number, and that's how I started.
So how old would you have been then? What?
About 15 and a half.
15, 16. So, I mean, for those of us who never ever got to visit at that time, I mean, can you sort of paint a picture of what it was like, the kind of people that kind of came into the shop as well?
Back initially, it was the Teddy Boy shop. It was their main clientele. The building... The shop, it was kind of decorated like my gran's front room. They didn't even have a jukebox back then. It was like a radiogram. But Malcolm, as well as playing old records, he had stuff like the Stooges album, the Raw Power album. And some of the clientele, and they'd done some bits and pieces for the Rocky Horror Show when it was still a stage play in the King's Road Theatre. And like Little Nell would come in and Richard O'Brien. So I kind of thought, there's something about hanging in there with this kind of thing, and thought I'd begun to have my finger on the pulse of kind of London somehow.
I mean, would you have a defining memory of seeing Steve and Paul in there for the first time?
Well, they used to come in and Steve was always trying to pilfer Play-Glow socks, and it was my job to stop them. But then they had a fledgling band, and Malcolm kind of humoured them, and I overheard them saying one day, Malcolm said, how's it going? Ha with your band, ha. And Paul Cook said, well, we're trying to take it seriously, Malcolm, and our bass player never turns up. And the bass player was Del, who was Paul's sister's fiance or something like that. And I said, well, I got bass. Didn't say I could play it. And they went, oh, who would you like? And I was really heavily into the Faces by then. And they said, what's your favourite band? I said, the Faces. And they said, that's ours too. And that kind of got me the gig, really.
I remember you telling me once about.
Hang on, I'll just go on. And I went to. There was originally a guitarist called Wally Nightingale, and we went round his house for my audition, and about the only song I could play all the way through without stopping was Three Button Hand Me Down, which is kind of quite impressive. So I did that, and I got the gig, and with the bass that I bought for 15 quid. And Wally said, "But there's one, you're in, but there's one thing, you're not playing that bass." I said, "Well, what's up with it?" And under his bed, he pulled out a case like Michael Collins, opened it up. He said, it was a bit like Crocodile Dundee, you know, with a knife. That's not a knife, that's a knife. That was the bass. I said, "Where'd you get it?" He said, "Don't ask." So that was it.
I mean, we talked about Alex Harvey in the cab on the way over, because a friend, a bit of a looky-likey, was at the Paris,
Paris, yeah, I was in Paris,
over the weekend. But I think I remember you saying to me once, Glenn, that you know, you were a fan, and you know, you'd gone to see Alex Harvey and the band at the Marquee. But then, and he came into the shop, didn't he? And
yeah, he came when I was working there, sort of in the winter, like midweek. I think probably in the school holidays or something. He came in, and it was the whole Alex Harvey band. Now, in fairness, it was the winter. It was cold. I had overcoats on. Alex Harvey was like a smaller kind of bloke, and he had National Health Service glasses on. And the other guys like Chris Glenn and Zal Clemens and were bigger. But Chris Glenn, had the droogy kind of look, and I was selling him some Dayglow socks. Then Malcolm came in with a delivery of boxes, aghast. He said, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, I'm serving these blokes." He said, "Out the back, out the back." He said, "Who's these blokes?" I said, "They're a band, the Alex Harvey band." He said, "Never heard of them, get them out." I said, "They're a band." And he said, "No." And I said, "Who do you think they are?" And he said, "They're tax collectors." Right? And I was like, Anyway, I said to the guys, "Go and have a pint. The bloke will be gone in a minute," and I'll serve you, which they did. But 2 weeks, a month later on, they'd had a big hit with Delilah, and they were doing Hammersmith Odeon. And I took Malcolm McLaren, my mate from art school I was at by the time, then Nick Cash, who plays with the Members these days, and Bernard Rhodes, who went on to manage the Clash. I kind of organised, didn't pay for it, but I organised to us go and see at the Hammersmith Odeon the Alex Harvey band, purely to convince Malcolm they weren't tax collectors. And while we're sitting there, Malcolm said to me, "How much was it to get in?" I can't remember, it was 75 pence or something like that. He said, "How many people does it hold?" 2,500, 3,000? Yeah. "Let's have a meeting about the band in the morning." It was the first time he took us seriously.
That was the deal breaker.
Yeah, he could smell spondylics, you know.
I mean, you know, I'm not going to, you know, ask lots of Pistols questions, but you know, when you think back at that time, you know, 75 and 1976.
Well, this is probably even 74, you know.
Earlier, but 1975 and 76, and you know, the band are playing more and gathering momentum. You know, what are the memories that you know, put a smile on your face? And also, actually, I don't know if I've ever asked you this before. Was there a defining moment when, you know, it might have been a rehearsal or a gig or the writing of a song, when you and maybe the others all realised, you know what, we've got something here that no one else has got? It's a three-point question. He's a bit tired.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't want to sound big-headed, but we were big-headed. We was like, you know, Herbert's knocking around. Steve and Paul were like really streetwise. Steve particularly. He was knocking around and Let It Rock. Down the road was Granny Takes a Trip. There'd be like sort of Keith Richards or Rod Stewart going in there or something like that. Down the wrong end of the King's Road, which is really the right end, the world's end, you'd see Anthony Price and Brian Ferry kind of trolling down the road and all that, and Malcolm all thought they were all tossers. So we did too. So it gave us a real kind of cocksure arrogance about what we was doing, and the learning to play together and writing songs and things was almost kind of secondary, but it wasn't. It was important. Yeah, and we start learning to play a few covers and things, and sometimes with a song when you're learning it, do you know what? It's a bit too hard. And you soon realise that your attempt at playing something else actually don't sound nothing like it, but it sounds like a new song, and that's a good way of writing stuff. So it kind of started by happenstance.
But as far as kind of standout memories when when you kind of look back and you smile and you think, you know what, that's why I got involved with that. What were the special moments for you?
I think, once we started doing the 100 Club and there was more and more people coming, we were playing loads of art colleges. The first couple of shows I organised, because Malcolm really didn't know how to go about it, but we were finding our feet, really. I've always said it was a bit like the Blues Brothers movie, when they go and try and get the band back together, and Belushi goes into a bar and Aretha Franklin's there. You guys are no good, get out. Well, we want to leave a message for Zeke or whatever. What should I tell her? Well, we're on a mission from God, We weren't on a mission from God, but it was on a kind of a mission.
Yeah. What about seeing other bands, forming in the band's sort of wake as well? I mean, that must have been pleasing, to see.
Yeah, one of the earliest bands like that kind of formed because of us, because they'd heard word of us very early on, was the Buzzcocks, and they found their way down to London to ask us if we'd play a show that they would put on, just so they could have a band to support, and that's quite forward thinking coming all the way from Manchester, so hats off to them. And they really had something going,
Yeah.
Then I think that there was like a coterie of earlier bands, the Damned were kind of around then, the Stranglers were on the tail end of the pub rock thing, the 101ers were somebody who were kind of cool, and I'd met Mick earlier on, and they got Strummer, and I said to Bernie Rhodes at the time, he said, we found a singer, and I said, sorry, I'm just staring into the distance, thinking, and I said, he's a bit old, and Bernie said, no, we'll have 10 years off of him, and he did, but back then, a couple of years makes a lot of difference.
Yeah. That clock's ticking away there.
I didn't even realise that.
No. It's all good. But there's a lot that I want to ask. I mean, just very quickly, do you think, had the Grundy thing not happened, that maybe the band might have stayed? The pressure that brought with it. Do you think that the band might have sort of the story might have been different?
Yeah, I think it had a built-in obsolescence, really. But I think we could have done a bit more. Steve Jones always said that was the day that the band broke up, really, and it became a different thing. And I was, don't know, maybe the fool guy with that, but I didn't like the way it was going.
Yeah.
It's not the way the band sounded, but there seemed to be a bit of dishonesty involved. I'd meet somebody at a gig, we were supposed to be banned, they say, oh, I'm the promoter, tell Malcolm, we'll put you on. So I'd go and tell Malcolm, and he'd go, no, you're banned. And this happened quite a few times. I wanted to be a musician, I wanted to play,
Well, in comparison then, so, the Rich Kids are formed, and I only sort of learned quite recently that Midge apparently was sort of spoken of as a possible singer for the Pistols, wasn't he?
Yeah, very vaguely roundabout terms. But I was aware of him, and he was doing that slick thing, and it had been and gone, and I tried out every singer in London I could think of who all wanted to sound like John at that time, and I'd already done that.
Yeah.
And then, I approached Midge, and he came down.
So Midge and Steve and the shy and retiring Rusty.
Shy retiring.
And then you start playing gigs. You only had like 3 or 4 songs, I think, in some of those early shows that you did.
You never let that stop me.
Who did you support? The Police, I think.
Tom Robinson Band. We went to. Midge came down. We learnt about 3 or 4 songs. We went to see. Well, I was trying to take him out. We went to. I was living in a squat in Stoke Newington by then, and we went to the Hope and Anchor. And as I'm trying to blag our way in for nothing, John, the big stocky guy, said, "No, you're not a band," and he knew who I was. There was another little guy, John, come up, and he said, "Oh, we just had a phone call. The support band had turned up." So I said, well, we'll play. And he said, well, you'll have to pay to get in and we'll see. And as I remember it, it was the Police, and they were a four-piece at the time. So we we did a few numbers, and they weren't too happy because Steve broke all their guitar strings. But at the end of we played, John, who was on the door, he liked it so much he gave us our money back. And £5, so it was £1 each and £1 for Al McDowell, who was
Living the dream, baby.
Yeah, it was great.
Living the dream.
It was a laugh, you know.
I mean, again, you know, because there's lots of other things I want to talk about, and I want to talk about this. When you think back to your time with the Rich Kids, I know you're doing this Rockanteurs event with Gary Kemp and Guy Pratt in a couple of weeks, and he famously, you know, describes the Rich Kids as, you know, the kind of link between punk and, you know, new romance.
I guess we kind of were in a way. I think it was a little bit ahead of our time, but there you go. It's just what happens. We should have hung on a bit. I only really like half the album, my half. But
it's Hung on You, one of those.
Hung on You is one of those. Strange Run, Ghosts. I like Marching Men, which is Midge's song, or the sound of it. Yeah, but there you go. But things happen the way they happen a lot. There's what you want to do, and there's what it comes out like and stuff, which is
move
to
on.
this, you know.
Yeah. Just before we talk about this, I'm going to throw a couple of names at you if I can. Some of the amazing people that you've worked with. Just the first thing that sort of, you know, kind of first memory that kind of springs to mind.
Right.
You know, not long I think after the Rich Kids disbanded, you played on Iggy's album and toured with Iggy as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
First memory, you know, when you think about that kind of period of time?
Professional, which is kind of funny for Iggy, but he'd been touring for a long time. Everything I'd done with the Pistols and Rich Kids, it was all your mates helping out, bless them, but they weren't proper roadies. And Iggy had been touring, and he had a whole kind of sort of you know, tour managers and flights booked and leads that worked and somebody that tuned your guitar for you. And it was just kind of professional, as well as doing a wild and crazy kind of show and meaning something, you know. But you got to have both sides of the coin.
Didn't he give you some advice as far as singing is concerned?
Well, he got annoyed with me when we was recording down in Wales, that was having dinner, and I said, you know, it's all right for you, I'll write all these songs, but you got a great voice and I haven't. And he said, I'm not lucky, I work really hard to get this voice, I've worked really hard. So I thought, maybe apply myself a little bit more.
I mean, the Faces you know, you mentioned a little bit earlier on, and you know that kind of first rehearsal with Stephen Paul and Wally, and I think You Can Make Me Dance, Sing Anything is one of your all-time.
One of the most up songs ever. You know, whatever mood you're in, if you put that on just before you've got to go out,
that's going to take you up.
It was a real buzz doing that, you know.
Yeah.
It's a drag Rod didn't do it, but Mick Hucknall did it, and he was great. You know, to me, the Faces were always a great rock band with a great soul singer, and it still was in a way, except without Lefebvre Bar, you know. But yeah, there you go.
I mean, you know, I could talk about the Silver Machine. I mean, I could talk about lots of other things, but let's bring it right up to date, because I know you're going to do a few songs this evening. This has been out for...
I might do several.
Several songs,
right.
Maybe even a new one. Maybe.
Yeah.
But this has been out for a couple of weeks now.
It came out at the end of May, I think. 20.
You still get that kind of tingle, that excitement of you know, release, you know, getting it out there.
Yeah, you know,
does that ever go? You know, that stays.
Well, you spend ages writing songs, you know, and you don't put an album out because you recorded it a week before that and you wrote all the songs a week before that. There's a whole gestation period of, you know, thinking what you think about what you're trying to write about, and there's been a lot going on in the world and in England at the moment. It's no secret that I'm pretty pissed off about Brexit for musicians, and I think we've had the wall pulled over our eyes, and a lot of people have been hoodwinked by some like toe rags basically. And I'm just trying to sing some songs about it, but it's not all po-faced, you know. I'd like to try and write a song like you're having a conversation with somebody, and when you have a conversation with somebody you might make a serious point, but you also try and have a laugh or be a bit ironic. So I think I've kind of learnt over the years to kind of seep that into my songwriting, together with all the things I've picked up from playing with different people over the years. And kind of, to me, just going back to the Pistols, it sounds quite simple, but everybody in the band had loads of different influences. And it's really quite a rich stew. If you go to France and go to Saint-Tropez or somewhere like that, which I've done once or twice in my life, and there's a place called Le Marmite, and they do a really good wheeler bass, which has got, it just tastes like fish soup, but actually it's got about 10 different kinds of fish in it, and it all goes up to make it taste like that. And I think that's what a good band is and a good record is. There's loads of different influences, but the trick is to try and make it sound like your own, and you're not just kind of nicking it. That whole thing, it's kind of been and gone a bit now, sampling, where people would brazenly nick something and then get involved in a copyright dispute after the effect, normally only when it's been a hit. People have always borrowed things from other people, but the trick is to cover it up a little bit. You've got to get ideas from somewhere. Yeah.
And it's an eclectic sounding record. We were chatting a little bit earlier on. Try to Tell You, which is this. I don't know if you've heard the album yet, folks, but it's this. It sounds like it could have been on the soundtrack to That'll Be the Day or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's a lovely song.
One of the songs we had on the jukebox was I Only Have Eyes for You by the Flamingos. And I wanted to write this kind of slow kind of talk song, which is kind of like an unrequited love song, but it's also, I'm a big fan of Pete Seeger, who wrote If I Had a Hammer. And he's trying to hammer out a warning, and some of us were trying to say things about what was happening and what's actually happening now and has come to pass. So I tried to tell you, But in lockdown, when I was finishing the album, I thought it needed some backing vocals, and I just had to go doing a few doo-wop kind of wop-shoo-wops actually, and tracked it all up. And then it started sounding good, so there you go.
And there's a great, surprising cover, on the album as well, in K.D. Lang's Constant Craving. What appealed about that song?
It's just a song I've really liked for a long time, and it's not a miseryness to my album, but some of it's kind of trying to negate the negativity. But that song's a really up song to me, full of hope and yearning for something a bit better. It's got a great tune, and I thought I'd have a go at doing it. And my last album, Good to Go, I did a cover of Scott Walker's Montague Terrace and Blue. And it's kind of like a curveball to throw in there to make people think that there's more, and you have a go at doing it. And if you achieve it and kind of pull the whole thing off, for a better expression, it's a feather in your cap, and you feel proud of it. So that's why I did it. But there's no point doing it exactly the same as the original. When we was doing it, got Norman Watroy on the bass on it, and Chris Muslow's playing drums, and I said to him, it was a bit straight. I said, why don't you lay into it a bit more? And Chris said, like what? And I said, well, like the Stones do an Harlem Shuffle. And it gave it a slightly different kind of feel. So, yeah, but it's a curveball, and I think, as you noticed, instead of having a load of rock music as you come in, and I said, play some Anthony and Ewing, which they did, So,
I think you're going to do a few songs. Congratulations.
thank you.
Well done, you. And I think Glen's going to be signing copies after the performance up the back there. Enough of my yakking.
Well, there you go. Unless anybody wants to ask anything.
Yeah, has anybody
Hello,
got a
Tom.
question?
Hello, all right.
Yeah, how you doing?
Right, now, basically you've had a long career. What's the craziest thing that ever happened?
What's the craziest thing that ever happened? Oh, it's kind of weird when you put on the spot with... Don't know what was the craziest thing. Well, actually, I think being run out of Ann Arbor in Michigan as soon as we come off stage by the state troopers because he got his old man out again.
That will do it.
Yeah. But I'm not going to go on about that too much, but you did ask.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
David, have you got a question? I thought, did you mention to me earlier on that you had a question?
Well, hi Glenn.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. Well, I was at the 100 Club in '76, but not the punk festival. It's before that.
Because you played a few times at the 100.
Yeah.
I did, and I went down with two of my bandmates. We'd already played.
You took your family to see the Sex Pistols at the Underclub?
Two bandmates.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought you said family, right.
But we didn't know anything about Pistols, really. We just went down on the strength of the name from the advert in Melody Maker, which said Monday, Ackerbill and his jazzmen, Tuesday, Kenny Ball,
Right.
Wednesday, the Sex Pistols. I thought, bloody hell, who are they? What is it?
Something for all the family.
So that's where we went down. And in those days, the 100 Club wasn't like it was today.
Yeah, it was a jazz club,
It was
yeah.
a jazz club. And thank God it's still there today. But I wanted to ask you, I was standing behind somebody who we all knew very well, but later claimed he wasn't there. And that was John Peel.
Oh,
Do you know anything about that?
no, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to cut you short on that, but I don't know, because normally when you're doing a gig, you're concentrating on what you're doing. But I tell you what, I did meet John Peel's producer. A few
John
years-
Waters.
Yeah, John Waters a few years later, and we hadn't they'd never offered us a session, and I asked him why, and he said, well, we did come down and see you. I don't know if we went with Mr. Peel or not. He said, but we took a look at your lead singer at the time. He said, and we thought that if it was in a nursery group, he wouldn't trust him with the scissors. That's what he said. So there you go. But you know what? If I was going through those names, I would have thought Ackerbilt was quite a weird name. And I tell you what, many years ago, I was in Putney. My lady friend at the time lived over there, and it was a bank holiday, and we was down by the river, the other side of Putney Bridge, and we could hear some music going on. So what's going on? And it sounded like there was a concert going on in Bishop's Park. So we jumped in the car, went up to Bishop's Park, and as we got there, as we're coming in, there's all these mums and dads coming out with their little kids, with their hands over their ears, right? What's going on? We got through, Ackerbilt was playing, he was as pissed as a fart and he's swearing his head off. He's going, this one's called Fucking Stranger on a Fucking...
We got it from you.
It was like a punk gig with a bowler hat.
He was there that night, obviously. Somebody got a question here?
Oh, Glenn, what's the rider like with Blondie?
What's the
Rider. Do you get more food? More
The rider.
rider? Yeah, but I'm a man of simple taste these days. I'm on the wagon. The food's great, the food's good, but you got to watch it a little bit, you know. And there's a lot of hanging about, and there's always a slice of key lime pie to have, you know.
Very nice.
Yeah, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. They look after you well.
Gentleman there? With the hat higher.
And Glenn,
Aye.
but as a muso, apart from the early days with your Ricky, you've pretty much stuck to precision. Have you ever fancied any other basses?
Yeah, I've had a few other ones. I had a Les Paul Junior bass, which if anybody's interested for sign, it's a Gibson EBO, and I only bought it because it's short scale and it fitted in the back of the Sunbeam Alpine at the time. It sounds very woolly, and I flogged it when I was skint, and I got stitched on it as well. And now it's for sale in a shop in Denmark Street for 12.5 grand. So good luck to you, right? But I also then, just before then, I had a Dan Armstrong slider pickup, I think it's called a London bass, and I got rid of that. And I never kind of collected guitars. I always used to trade them in for the next one. I wish I'd kept that one. That was good, and you don't see them around. But you can't beat a precision, really. You know, so if you get the right one, you know. Yeah.
One more? Yes, yes, hello.
Yes, hi. Have you got a favourite venue that you always want to go back to?
Favourite venue? It was kind of...
Or one that's closed?
Or one that's closed.
It's gone.
No.
I don't know. I mean, the 100 Club's always kind of cool, and I like the fact that it's been in the family for 40 odd years, and every 10 years or so they take all the pictures off the wall, paint it the same kind of dirty orange colour, and put the pictures back up, and it's got full market tables. It's like playing in the social club of a caravan site in Clacton. But they've had so many fantastic people there. That's cool. But you know, a gig's a gig, and yeah, I played some right tiny little shitholes, and I played some really big places, and you just roll with it, really.
And what do you get from doing things like this, playing in front of an intimate crowd as well? I mean, how does this compare with walking out at Coachella in
I
front
get the love from the audience, hopefully.
There you go. What a
Hopefully.
what a sweet way to end.
But mind you, I do remember talking to Mr. Lydon about it. I said, do you like gigging? No, he said, do you like gigging? And I said, yeah, I don't mind it. You get to travel around. I said, how about you? He said, no, I hate it. Now, this is a man who craves attention. Proper lead singer. I said, well, what about it? He said, well, it's all those people. I said, what about it? He said, they keep looking at you. Well, I still to this day don't know if he meant it or was wanting that. Anyway.
I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, Glen Matlock.
Thanks, Joe.
I so enjoyed that. He's going to play some songs for you, and then, as I said, a little bit later on, I'm going to be signing some copies of the album and some pictures all up the back there. Enjoy. Glen Matlock.
Can't get the stars.
Right. Can I have some sound, please, Mr. Soundman? How about that? So you ready for a few songs?
Yeah.
Hang on. First thing to do is put your keys in the other hand. Right, you ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, fuck's sake. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you really ready?
Yeah.
A little bit more sound on the stage. This one's called Consequences Coming. I want you look into my eyes. I want you look into my eyes. Want you to see that all those lies won't ever cut me down to size. No matter how low that you sink. Hey, maybe stop and start to think. Take a look into my eyes. Take a look into my eyes. I ain't gonna take this lying down. So hit it, spread the word around. But I can see some consequences coming right down the line. Ain't never gonna cry my style. Ain't never gonna cry my style. You know it just ain't worth your while. You know it just ain't worth your while. See, I'm connecting all the dots, and I'm picking all the knots. Oh, dear me, that's going so well. Ain't ever gonna cry my style. Ain't ever gonna cry my style. Oh, ain't gonna take this lying down. So hit it and spread the word around. But I can see some consequences coming right down the line. Oh, hey, hey, hey. A little warning, a shot to cross your bow. You know I feel something dawning, coming soon somehow. Hey, 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 I get this feeling there's gonna be regret. Well, get it, got it, good, take it as my respect. Whoa. If you want to clap along, I don't mind. Come on, help me out. Whoa. So won't you look into my eyes? Take a look into my eyes. Want you to see that all those lies won't ever cut me down in size. Oh no, ain't gonna take this lying down. So hit it, spread the word around. But I can see some consequences coming right down the line. I ain't gonna take this lying down. So hit it, spread the word around. But I can see some consequences coming right down the line. I'm gonna be some consequences coming, and I think for time.
Thank you. It's great when you clap along. Will you help me out with this one? Right, as you're clapping along, like you did very well, but there's also the rock and roll clapping along, which is kind of based on a rockabilly thing, which goes, yeah. You got to keep up all the way through though. This one's called Magic Carpet Ride. I'm trying to see exactly where we are all at. Like looking for a needle in a haystack. Got ourselves a certain kind of peculiar. What a mind bender, yeah, that'll do ya. Don't see how we can swallow a rain check out tomorrow. Don't see that it follows that it's bonafide. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Caught up in this crazy kind of magic carpet ride. Oh, got no idea where we're all going. Guess it's somewhere that the wind is blowing. Ain't a planning on a hole in a fly past, no not yet. Hang out, don't take it too fast. Can't see, measure for measure. There'll be something to treasure. Guess we'll see at a leisure as we slip and slide. Nowhere to run, so nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Caught up in this crazy kind of magic carpet ride. Here we go, you clap loud because I can't do the guitar solo. Oh, oh, ah, yeah. I've been going over and over the whole shebang, the whole bossa nova. But hang on, say, please don't accuse me, 'cause man, my hands are tied. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Caught up in this crazy kind of magic carpet ride. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Caught up in this crazy kind of magic carpet ride. A magic carpet ride. Can you say that? A magic carpet ride, 'cause that's what we're on for. Who knows where, who knows when. A magic carpet ride. A magic carpet ride. A magic carpet ride. Alright, we're going to change the lead. Change the lead. Oh. Thought he was going to plug it in. Oh, there you go, about that. How about a punk rock classic, yeah? Yeah! But it might be one you don't necessarily associate with me, but I'm going to do this one because I think, apart from Louie Louie by the Kingsmen, or You Really Got Me by the Kinks, this is the most important punk rock song because it inspired me to write Pretty Vacant. It goes like this. Any ideas? Well, I was screaming, let me out of here before I was even born. Oh, it's such a gamble when you get a face that's fascinating to observe while the murder. Cause when I die, it's to the wall that'll see the place. I belong to the blank generation. Well, I can take it, I'll leave it each time. Yeah,
Yeah, I belong to the generation. Well, I can take it all, leave it each time. That's right. Don't forget that clock and it comes in handy up here, you know. Train goes for falling out the windows. The doctor cursed, he was a couch in line to say goodbye to public eye. The nurses just regarded his ears into his words. He grabbed me by the throat, the guy's consolation prize. I belong to the blank generation. Well, I can take it all, leave it each time. Yes, I belong to the generation. Well, I can take it all, leave it each time. I'll go, oh, oh, oh. Come here. Oh, 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 oh. A little bit louder. Oh, between my lips, yes, I've had the cash. And I carried up flights of stairs and hold in a vacant lot to hold you in my arms trapped, see what you got. And close my eyes and watch every passing dot. Well, I belong to the blank generation. Well, I can take it all, leave it each time. Yeah, I belong to the generation. Well, I can take it all, leave it each time. I'm singing, I belong to the blank generation. Well, I can take it all, leave it each time. Yeah, I belong to the generation. Well, I can take it all, leave it each time. I'll go, oh, 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 oh. Oh, we got in somewhere.